the years that made me wise. I saw your true intent in much to my surprise. Never would you be there in the end. No, the clouds of laughter lifted from a life that's on the mend. Yeah, nothing seemed to go my way. Yeah, and good luck never seemed to stay. And I woke up hoping things would change every single day, but nothing seemed to go my way until I left you. Oh, until I left you. Yeah, until I left you. Until I left you. Until I left you.
Hey, this is Bill Leverty of Firehouse, and you're listening to the Little Ozzy Podcast.
That's right. In fact, you are listening to the Little Ozzy Podcast. We have an incredible guest, incredible guitar player, huge resume. Too long for me to even list. I couldn't believe it. Very happy to have Mr. Joel Hoekstra. How you doing, Joel?
Doing good. Thanks so much.
Man, I'm really glad you called. How are things going up there, man? You're in New York, correct?
I am in New York. Yeah, I mean, not ideal to be here for it, but it is what it is.
Right on. You're safe. Your family's been safe, I trust.
Yeah, everything's okay. I mean, it's just a lot of indoor time.
Oh yeah, I know that, man. That's the truth. Same thing down here in Florida, man. We got pretty fortunate. Our numbers are pretty low, and the beaches are open, and everything's reopening. So we're it's kind of a weird vacation, but really don't know what to think about it all. But I'm glad you called in. You have played or still currently play. I don't even know, man. Your resume is huge. I have 100 questions for you, but that would take all night. So if you don't mind, I would love to just get into the meat of it. You have a very interesting background. Trans-Siberian Orchestra, freaking Cher, Whitesnake. You have done some incredible work. I see with some great musicians such as freaking Jeff Scott Soto, one of my favorites. Michael Sweet. How old were you? I know your family was classically trained, correct?
Yeah, my parents are classical musicians. Mm-hmm.
Incredible. So I guess, when did you get started with all this? I read, AC/DC turns you on to the guitar, but you actually played cello.
Yeah, when I was really little, my parents started me on cello and then piano after that, and I didn't really take to either one of them. I was too young. And then I wanted to start guitar once I heard AC/DC at, I think, the age of 11, 7th grade. So, yeah, seeing Angus really lit the fire.
Oh, so you got to see him when you were 11.
No, I mean, just at that time, they had just started up MTV, and just seeing them on MTV and seeing the posters and the pictures and everything. I was like, that dude's the coolest. I want to be that guy. And
that's so cool how we're appealed to so many different things like that, where one could be Randy Rhoads, one could be Tony Iommi, one could be Angus Young. That's so cool, man. So you started taking guitar seriously then. And that was in Chicago, correct?
Yeah, the suburbs of.
Nice. And where else have you lived? Is that where you got? That's where you were raised? And I mean, I know you're in New York now, but is that basically both places you've lived, or did you ever go out west back in the '80s to try to make it, or what'd you do then?
Yeah, I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, and then at the age of 19, I went out to Hollywood for a couple of years, California. 19 through 21 years old, really. I went to GIT for a year out there, the guitar school, and then spent a year working at a recording studio called Cherokee. And then I moved back to the Chicago area, taught a lot of lessons, played a lot of gigs, and came to New York City now about, it's like almost 20 years ago to do a gig, and I've been in New York now for a very long time, so I never really thought I'd live here, but I ended up here.
Where at New York are you?
I'm in Manhattan.
Oh, cool. Good deal. They used to have a cool club down there. I got the honor to play one time called the China Club. Is that closed or is that still there?
Gosh, I don't even know, man. It's the nightlife is so gone for me. I think it's closed by now, though.
Right.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, let me ask you another question, man. When you finally felt like, wow, things were really coming along here, I mean, who was it? Was it Whitesnake, Tran, Siberian Orchestra? And how on God's earth did you get the gig with Cher?
Now, everything is just kind of like baby steps, I think, when you build a career. So it just kind of went from coming out to New York City and doing that show called Love Janis. That was about Janis Joplin, and kind of working with oldies bands from there, working with the Turtles and Big Brother and the Holding Company, and kind of in the process playing with my friend Jim Peterick back in Chicago for his World Stage events. And that really led to me joining Night Ranger, and then really through me doing pit work in New York, getting the Rock of Ages show on Broadway, and really through doing both of those, getting the opportunity to join Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and then eventually Whitesnake. And then Cher was really just the product of Whitesnake taking a year off for David Coverdale to have knee replacement surgery, and just giving us a heads up on that. So I just texted everybody if anybody needed anybody to fill in, and Cher's guitar player needed somebody, and gradually it became a little bit more of a full-time thing, and yeah, that was that.
Yeah, I watched some videos of you with Cher, and I was like, incredible. Yeah, that's something that goes way back for all of us, I think. And how cool. So when did you start with Whitesnake? Was it 2015?
Whitesnake was 2014, me joining and recording the Purple album, and then really starting touring in 2015.
So you actually, played with Brian Tishy, right?
No, it was Tommy Aldridge the entire time. So Tommy was back, yeah.
How cool is that, man, to be like playing with one of the touring musicians for the Blizzard of Oz?
Yeah, T.A.'s a legend in his own right, man. So obviously having David Coverdale there, but also having T.A. with all that experience, and so there's a lot of good stories, man,
Oh, yeah, definitely. Now, who did you play with, who did you share the stage with guitar-wise when you were in Whitesnake?
Still with Whitesnake. It's Red Beach the entire time is my guitar partner, so Red's got a great history as well, obviously, with his success with Winger in the 80s. So, yeah, I mean, it's been great. We've had the same lineup the whole time I've been in the band.
That's incredible. So you actually came in after Doug Aldridge, I guess.
Correct. Yeah, Doug left, and then I heard they needed somebody in the audition, got the gig.
That's sweet stuff, man. Yeah, it's amazing, all these musicians that are like, everybody's friends, everybody's cool. It's so cool to talk to so many that, I would love to get Doug Aldridge on here. He's one of my favorites too, but I watched you at the Randy Rhoads Remembered, you and Greg Watts like throwing battles back and forth, and I was like, my stepson, he plays guitar for us, my tribute band, Lil Ozzy, and he's like, which one do you think's better? And I'm like, I don't know. Is you both?
Yeah, that was we sort of had set up to do a little back and forth, and then they actually couldn't get Rudy Sarzo's amp working, I think, when we were going back and forth. So as I turned around, Brian was doing the thing where you go, stretch, they keep going. I was like, okay, now we're just going to bore the hell out of everybody here.
That was so
cool. Back and forth for minutes on end. So that video is a little bit excruciating for me to watch, but really wasn't supposed to be so much back and forth. But Jeff's a great dude. He reached out to me after I left Night Ranger and just said, like, hey, great job, and blah, blah, blah. We just kind of made fast friends, and we've been in touch ever since. He's a good dude.
That is too cool right there. So you, I guess you appear on a lot of albums. You help a lot of people out, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the type of dude that does sessions and stuff like that too. I'm not. I always look at it like I'm going to play my guitar every night regardless, so I'd rather get paid to get better.
Nice,
do sessions for people and stuff than just practice per se. So that's plus I think it's just more musical than running scales and stuff for my time. So yeah, man, I've got a fairly decent discography, I guess, for my time around in the business.
So it was Michael Sweet's solo album that you appeared on, correct?
Yeah, the last two I did. I played on, I think, maybe 4 songs on One-Sided War, and then 10, his most recent one, I was able to actually co-write 2 tracks and play on 2 with him, which I think the marketing process on that was more to have a different guitar player every song, so I was lucky to even get on 2 songs. I think even that was a favor to me, just giving me 2. There's a lot of great guitar players on that one. So, but One-Sided War, I think I played on 4 on there, but I didn't get to write any of it with him.
Sweet guy for real, man.
Michael's awesome, man. I mean, he's one of the great dudes in the business, just in terms of his work ethic and his talent. Really, I mean, he's really. If you look at his productivity over the last 10 years compared to a lot of the guys in the business, man, it's just unreal. I mean, he's putting everybody to shame in terms of putting out albums and writing songs. I mean, he's just always going, man.
Yeah, he's great. I had Oz on the show a while back, and another sweet dude right there, man. And
those dudes are so cool, man. I love the Striper guys. I have good stories from both of those guys. When I was a kid at GIT in Hollywood, Oz came to do a master class or something like that, a clinic at the school. And he was a rock star. This is not too long after To Hell with the Devil and everything, and the pinnacle of their success. And I gave him my 4-track demo, my cassette with my phone number on it at the time, and never expected to hear from him. But he actually called me, and he was he had listened to the whole thing. He was talking to me about it. So that was an amazing moment for me as a kid. At I think I was 19 when that happened. So he was such a good dude to do that. So we always talk about that. And I'm like, that meant so much to me as a young kid that he took the time to do that. And Michael did really the same thing when Night Ranger opened for him when he was in Boston. You remember when Michael was a part of the band Boston?
Yes, I do, yeah.
So the bill was Alan Parsons, Night Ranger, Styx, Boston, at Cynthia Woods Pavilion in Texas. And so we opened for them, and next thing I know, I get this email from Michael Sweet through my website, like, hey, man, just follow you outside the stage, and blown away, and you sounded great and all this stuff. And that just, it meant so much to me that he would take the time out to write a guy from an opening band, go to my website, and email me and everything. Seeing as I grew up watching him and everything, and he was in the headlining band, no ego, no attitude.
Yeah.
Super nice guy. So each of those guys, just because of that, I have a certain level of loyalty to them.
Yeah, that's really cool. The only time I met him was at a Heaven and Earth bookstore back probably around 95, 94 when he did his first solo album. And I think he had Dennis Cameron playing lead from a bunch of Christian bands. And I was like, he was always one of my favorites, so I just looked up to him so much. And then when I first met him, I expected him to know me or something. I was starstruck. I was like, wow, what a nice guy. But that was a really cool experience too. Yeah. So, did I see you on Fox News?
Oh, no, I think they just put put up a picture of TSO on, I forget the guy's name now.
I thought you were on Fox News or something.
I think just talking about masks, and I think maybe he's a TSO fan. And from what I understand, the line was, are masks going to be seasonal, like the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, or are they here to stay, like the Trans-Siberian Orchestra?
You got a free plug on Fox, man. How'd you feel about that?
I mean, I'm not a big news guy either, partisan news especially. But hey, that's all great, man. It's always cool when your face is on TV, I guess.
So, how long are you going with Trans-Siberian Orchestra? When do y'all start, and when are you back home usually?
Well, typically, in a normal year, we start rehearsals really towards the very end of October, and then we usually start the tour about mid-November, and that runs all the way through December. So we're yet to see with this year and all the crazy policies and everything what's going to happen. So we'll see.
So what have you got in the fire now, man? I know you're doing something. Got to be.
Yeah, man. I mean, I just staying busy. The main thing is that I'm working on, I had an album out from my side project band, which I call Joel Hoekstra's 13.
13,
right? Is
yeah.
the band. And so the album was called Dying to Live back in 2015, and I have a new one coming out, a follow-up. And so just working on that. That's the main thing. I got all the guitars done for that, and that was 2-3 weeks of work of this whole thing every night. And doing sessions for people, teaching Skype lessons. So yeah, staying busy, and yeah, I also kind of have to take notes on that when I get mixes from the mix engineer, and just kind of in general sort out, do some editing when I get tracks from other people, etc.
And I believe Jeff Scott Soto, was he on that one?
Jeff is right now only singing backgrounds on this new one, but he's overqualified for that. He's just kind of doing it as a favor to me.
Wow. So you're singing lead vocals, or who's doing that?
No, this dude Russell Allen, who people would know from Symphony X or Adrenaline Mob. And Russ is a really great singer. He sings in Trans-Siberian Orchestra with me.
Awesome. That is too cool, man. The album, Living to Die, what does that mean to you?
Dying to Live.
Dying to Live, I'm sorry.
Close, though.
Dyslexic
Close
moment.
enough cigar.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Dying to Live was just, mainly just about just trying to overcome obstacles to be a better person, basically.
That's cool. Sometimes I get a little personal on here because I love metal. I'm a Christian, and I just love to ask people that sometimes, because sometimes I feel like I see that message, and I'm not putting you on the spot or anything, but what are your thoughts about that, Christianity?
Oh, I mean, I'm into it. I like it. So, but that being said, I think just people should be allowed to believe what they want to believe without people being too judgmental about it. So I try to focus on through that. Try to focus on more of the positive side of things.
Yeah.
And not being judgmental, but being, I guess, just trying to look at it through. I guess the value, not even value, I don't want to say values, but I'd say just trying to actually practice it more than preach it. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds like a winner to me, brother. It's a lot of practicing that needs to be done, I think. Yeah, it's a pretty sad state right now when I look at the country, and I just think, wow, man, it really breaks my heart. It's like, it's so much hatred right there and division, and it's unbelievable. I would love to see some kind of revolution start or something again where we turn back, and love one another, and without sounding too churchy.
I don't know what the answer is. Obviously, I'm not qualified to speak too much on it. And I'm definitely not a political guy. That's just not my thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think what you're talking about goes a long way. Just people, just forgiving is a huge thing. Kind of a lost art these days.
Exactly. Do you do the Randy Rhoads Remembered every year?
No, I did it. I've done it 3 times, I want to say. The first year I did Little Dolls on my own, and then the next year was the Jeff Watson thing where the Rudy S amp went bad.
Yeah.
And we were stretching at the front end of it for forever. And then the next year, Jeff and I did that again. And they're just people, for whatever reason, that's not as popular on YouTube. Seems to be the one where the amp problem happens.
Yeah, exactly. What do you play through? What do you use?
Oh, man, when you do stuff like that, you just plug into a Marshall that's up on the stage already, and you just go. You're not really using your gear. So,
what do you use as far as your gear goes?
Well, Whitesnake, I use Friedman amps, and I use a Fractal Axe effects for the delay and reverb in the loop. I don't use it as a modeler. And then with, like, TSO or Cher, I actually use the Fractal Axe effects for the modeling and the effects. So that's just basically like a both of those direct gigs. In terms of the new album, I'm going really with plugins on it. I mean, I'm doing I tracked with this thing that called the Atomic Amplifier that I really like. Actually, it's a very portable unit and not as popular for whatever reason in that direct recording realm, but I really like the sound of it. So I use that, and also just using, I think basically the mix engineers using like STL tones right now in terms of the plugs in conjunction with the amplifier. And you got a real nice tone happening, actually. I dig it more than what I got on the last album.
That's cool. So when do you think you're shooting for your release date so we can all listen?
I honestly don't know. Hopefully later in the year. I don't want to have to see it like go all the way through the year. I'm going to lose my mind. It takes time though once you turn in an album. Some of that depends too on whether or not I'm going to do it through a label or release it on my own. So I'm sort of waiting on figuring that out as well. But right now the main thing is just like finish it, get it done, and then figure all that out. Oh
yeah, I can't wait to hear it, man. I can't wait to venture deeper into all your stuff. There's so much that I need to listen to that you've done that I have not. That it's going to be really fun. So I like digging in there, and I guess YouTube's kind of a place to do that, or your website. And listen,
if you go to I have a .com, and if you go to like music, or if you go to videos, you can check out a whole lot of it.
Yeah, what is that for our listeners that want to come lison? And anything you want to say?
Yeah, my name is a hard name, but JoelHoekstra.com. You can go there, read up on anything on me. David Coverdale calls it my Encyclopedia Britannica. I've got far too much information on myself that anyone could ever care about, but it's I like to have it all there just so it's anything that's happened is just kind of documented.
Yeah, that's great. So JoelHoekstra.com, that'd be JoelHoekstra.com. And you know what? Dave Coverdale is one of my all-time favorite singers. My God, what is he like in person? He's got to be a sweet
He's great, man. A really, really great guy. Just obviously rock royalty, done a whole lot. But also likes to be one of the guys. Lots of laughs. We'll be working and just kind of hanging out, and he'll feel just more like a friend. And we're just cracking up, laughing about stuff. But then all of a sudden, he'll tell a story about working with Jimmy Page or with Richie Blackmore, and it's like, oh yeah, gosh, that's right.
That's right.
Like this dude's worked with everybody.
No, wow. Coverdale Page.
Yeah, so it's great. He's been wonderful to me. No complaints, man.
That is awesome, man. I'm so glad to hear that. And I'm so glad that you took the time out to be a part of this show tonight. And I know the listeners are waiting. You got a lot of comments already. And it's going to be exciting. And I appreciate you.
Cool. Right on, brother. Right back at you.
Yes. And I can't wait to see Trans-Siberian Orchestra with you. I haven't done that.
Cool.
And,
well, God willing, we'll be down there this November, December, man.
I hope so. That would be incredible, brother. If you need anything, you call me. And I appreciate you. Joel Hoekstra. Thank you.
Sounds good, bro. Thank you so much.
All right, brother. Talk soon.
All right. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
to increase.